All right,
This is KCAL News Mornings.
And we begin this breaking news. It's Friday, September 29th. I'm Chris Holmstrom.
And I'm Rachel Kim. Like Chris said, we begin with breaking news this morning. We have learned that Senator Dianne Feinstein has died. Let's go over to assignment manager Mark Liu with the very latest.
Yeah, good morning, Chris and Rachel. Yeah, I've just been speaking with our colleagues at CBS Network News. They have two sources that confirmed that United States Senator Dianne Feinstein has passed away. She was 90 years old. She has been heavily involved in California politics for more than 3 decades. She served as U.S. Senator since 1992. That's more than 30 years. Now, before she was a U.S. Senator representing California, she was heavily involved in state and local politics. She sat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in the 1970s and was mayor of San Francisco from 1978 until 1988. And then she was elected to the U.S. Senate in 1992, where she served for more than 30 years. And now she served as both chair and vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, among other positions in the U.S. Senate. She had recently been the subject of some controversy about her mental fitness to serve as senator, but she said she would not resign. But she also said she wouldn't be seeking re-election in 2024. Now, since she has passed away, the U.S. Constitution says that the governor of California is empowered to appoint a replacement for her that will serve the rest of her term, and then there will be an election for her position in 2024. That is the very latest here from the desk. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. Well, the news of Feinstein's death comes after a series of health problems and questions about her condition.
Yeah, there's been a lot of concern about this. KCAL News reporter Tom Waite has a look back at her life, but also her legacy.
Well, I don't think the board has really done their homework when it comes to taxation.
Dianne Feinstein's storied political career began in San Francisco in 1969 when she was elected to the city's Board of Supervisors. Feinstein would ultimately become the first woman to serve as the board's president.
Hi, Tom. I'm Dianne. Nice to know you.
It would be one of many firsts for Feinstein. In 1992, she made history, becoming the first woman to represent California in the U.S. Senate. In that same year, she would help Barbara Boxer win the state's other Senate seat in what would become known as the Year of the Woman, setting up this iconic moment.
I will never forget the night we made history. We were at the Fairmont Hotel waiting to see what would happen, and Dianne was a shoo-in, and I was certainly absolutely the underdog.
Retired Senator Barbara Boxer would serve with Feinstein until the end of Boxer's term in 2017.
When the two of us made it, 2 women from the Bay Area, 2 Jewish women from the Bay Area, it was such history.
Boxer says they knew because of their gender, they had to fight even harder.
These guys thought women couldn't understand, the gun issues, couldn't understand missile issues, couldn't understand defense issues.
While Feinstein's time in the Senate has more recently defined her epic career.
What are your thoughts on what it means for our country to have women serve in meaningful numbers on the federal bench?
It was before her time in Washington that she was tested by violence and tragedy. In 1978, as a San Francisco supervisor, she was there when the city's mayor and a trailblazing city supervisor were assassinated by another supervisor.
Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed.
A steely Feinstein would guide and calm a shattered city.
I became mayor as a product of assassination, of the mayor being killed and the first openly gay public official being killed by a friend and colleague of mine.
She's iconic for that moment, for showing that women could lead. She's been that way the whole time, I think, just very, very, very calm and very measured.
Feinstein would take over as San Francisco's mayor, the first woman to hold the post. She would then win the job twice in 2 elections. While she was mayor, she earmarked more money for AIDS research in San Francisco than President Reagan did for the entire country. Feinstein would make an unsuccessful run for governor in 1990, but even in defeat, she was resilient and went on to become California's first female U.S. senator in 1992.
Electing women senators was a big deal. And in 1992, we elected 2 women senators at the same time. And that's also going to be a very important part of her legacy.
Just 8 months after she was sworn in, Senator Feinstein would have to contend with a mass shooting in San Francisco at a law firm in the heart of the city. 8 people were killed, 6 wounded. Feinstein would immediately start working on an assault weapons ban.
A law firm secure on the 31st floor of a high-rise building. A disgruntled client walks in and just mows down employees.
We got hit 101 California in the 90s. As soon as both of us got to the Senate, she took the lead on the assault weapons ban, and Joe Biden was the chairman of Judiciary, and he told her, you know, I'm not doing it unless you get the votes.
Feinstein would get those votes and a 10-year assault weapons ban, and it passed in 1994. It was allowed to expire in 2004. She's fought hard to reinstate the ban, but Republicans have stood firmly against it.
We're always going to think of Dianne Feinstein in the context of the gun control issue.
In her last election in 2018, she went up against then State Senate President Kevin De Leon. California's Democratic Party threw their support behind De Leon, who was the more progressive candidate, but Feinstein would still defeat him.
Progressives were dissatisfied with her practical orientation. Dianne Feinstein always made a point of working with Republicans to get things done. They were unhappy about that.
In March of 2022, Dianne Feinstein would lose her husband, 86-year-old Richard Bloom, a crushing loss.
I called her and we talked, and she said to me, Barbara, I didn't know how much my life would change and my world would change, how much I depended on him and cared about him. And she was really suffering from that loss.
With the loss of her husband, coupled with talk of recent cognitive issues, at 89, Feinstein announced her retirement in February 2023.
My husband has died, and that affected the decision.
When her retirement was announced, Feinstein's colleagues began her send-off with effusive praise, words fit for a woman who changed the course of history.
It would be impossible to write the history of California politics. It'd be impossible to write the history of American politics without acknowledging the trailblazing career of Senator Dianne Feinstein.
She was a shoo-in. She was going to make it. And she could have easily turned her back and walked away from me and said, you know, you're on your own, kiddo. But she never did that. And to this day, that's my fondest memory of her, is being by my side.
Feinstein offered this advice to young women who want to follow in her footsteps.
Prepare yourself. And so many times, talented young women go for the top first. You can't do that. Start young. Earn your spurs. You don't drop out. You take defeat after defeat after defeat, but you keep going. And I really believe that.
Senator Boxer told me that Senator Feinstein never viewed her post in the Senate as a job. She viewed it as a mission. In the newsroom, I'm Tom Waite, KCAL News.
Yeah, it truly was a trailblazer and an icon for women in politics on both sides.
Indeed.
So,
you know, her career, decades-long career, really highlighted with major legislative action on issues like mentioned in the story, gun control and the environment. So she leaves vacant a very powerful Senate seat.
yeah, when you actually go back and see what her legacy and her life was about, I mean, she's accomplished a lot. The fact that she was elected to U.S. Senate in 1992, 31 years ago.
Amazing.
Amazing. And she's 90 years old.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely continue to follow this story, to remember Senator Dianne Feinstein throughout the morning here on KCAL News. So be sure to watch with us there.
CBS News Los Angeles, your local news, streaming wherever, whenever.